The smug grin on the face of my husband as he walked into the family court told me everything he was thinking. He leaned close to my ear and whispered that I would walk away with absolutely nothing. His new partner laughed loudly from the benches behind us, adding that I did not deserve a single penny of his wealth. I remained completely silent and chose not to look back at them. Instead of reacting to their cruel words, I quietly slipped a sealed document to my legal representative. I instructed him to present this package to the judge only when the moment was exactly right. Minutes later, the magistrate opened the envelope, scanned the pages briefly, and uttered a short phrase that instantly shattered the confidence of my husband. That simple sentence changed the entire direction of my life. My name is Vanessa Vance, and I am 38 years old. To comprehend how we arrived at this bitter courtroom confrontation, we must look back 15 years. I met Garrett when we were both young and full of ambition, though he had no capital to speak of. I possessed a stable position in finance, a modest apartment, and unlimited belief in his potential. Garrett dreamed of launching a technology enterprise, a venture that everyone else deemed far too hazardous. Because I loved him, I agreed to support us entirely while he labored to establish his business. We believed that once success arrived, we would celebrate our shared triumphs. The initial years of our marriage required immense sacrifices that drained my savings and tested my endurance. I worked countless hours of overtime to cover our mortgage, healthcare, and daily living costs. When early seed investors withdrew their funding, I used my personal capital to keep his dreams alive. I put my own desire for higher education on hold so we could afford his business licenses. Garrett constantly promised me that our collective efforts would eventually secure our joint future. Successes finally arrived during our 7th year of marriage, when his primary product gained massive national traction. Suddenly, Garrett was featured on media platforms and invited to exclusive industry events across the country. As his fame escalated, his attitude toward our partnership shifted dramatically. He began treating me like an employee rather than his wife, dismissing my personal aspirations with cold indifference. The emotional distance between us widened as Garrett spent weeks away on business trips that seemed highly suspicious. While reviewing old banking files for our tax preparer, I stumbled upon luxury suite reservations that did not align with his professional schedule. I decided to remain observant and carefully track his behavior instead of initiating an immediate argument that would only alert him. My fears were validated when I accidentally overheard Garrett discussing his strategy on a private phone call. He explained to an unknown recipient that he would initiate the divorce as soon as he successfully shielded his assets. Hearing those cold words devastated me, but I refused to shed a tear. The very next morning, I secured the services of an exceptional lawyer named Clara. Clara asked me if I possessed any proof of my financial support over the years of our marriage. I presented her with a massive folder containing detailed transaction logs, tax documents, and personal loan agreements. For the past decade, I had meticulously archived every single financial transaction. Clara smiled and assured me that paper trails never lie, giving me a sudden surge of hope. During the weeks preceding the hearing, Garrett boasted to our mutual acquaintances that I would not receive a single dime. When the court date arrived, he marched inside, wearing an incredibly expensive suit, flanked by his legal team and his new companion. He whispered that I should have accepted his meager initial settlement offer, but I simply ignored his arrogance and waited. The legal representative of my husband stood up first and delivered a passionate speech to the court. He argued that Garrett built the entire enterprise solely through his personal ingenuity and tireless labor. He claimed that my role as a spouse was entirely passive and did not contribute to the growth of the corporation. Garrett grinned with absolute certainty, believing his victory was guaranteed. When the judge requested our response, Clara rose calmly and walked toward the bench to present our sealed package. She explained that the envelope contained a precise chronological record of my direct financial contributions. The courtroom fell silent as the magistrate adjusted his glasses and began reviewing the documents. Garrett crossed his arms, entirely unbothered by what he assumed was a desperate gesture. The expression of the judge shifted from indifference to intense focus as he read the timeline. The documents detailed the exact dates I had transferred my savings to cover payroll and refinanced my vehicle for his business. Included in the pages were printed electronic messages from Garrett, thanking me for keeping his dream alive. The growing tension in the room was almost palpable. The judge looked up and demanded that Garrett explain a specific $28,000 deposit into his business account. Garrett stammered as his attorney scrambled to review the corresponding bank statements. The judge pointed out that the transfer perfectly matched a withdrawal from my personal account. He then noted that I had paid our mortgage for 4 consecutive years while the company struggled. The legal team of my husband frantically requested a brief recess to evaluate the newly highlighted records. The judge agreed but ordered a comprehensive external audit of all financial disclosures before making any final division of property. As we walked out of the room, the arrogant smile was completely gone from the face of Garrett. His partner walked behind him in total silence. 3 weeks later, the court reconvened after the independent auditors verified every single piece of evidence I provided. The official report confirmed my substantial contributions, forcing Garrett to accept a fair distribution of the marital estate. Afterward, a humbled Garrett approached me in the empty hallway to apologize for his behavior. He admitted that he had convinced himself he succeeded entirely on his own. I accepted his apology not because he deserved it, but because I refused to carry bitterness into my future. The final settlement provided me with the capital to establish my own financial advisory firm. I now spend my days guiding young entrepreneurs and small family operations toward sustainable growth. My past struggles became the exact tools I needed to build my own successful enterprise. I did not seek vengeance during that difficult divorce. I simply demanded the recognition of my true worth. The courtroom victory did not define my value, as that strength had lived inside me all along. Today, I stand proudly inside my own dream, knowing that the most resilient foundation is the one I constructed myself. Please subscribe to this channel if this story inspired you today.